Folks, I have spoken to Gennaro Gattuso on the phone. We had a conversation last week. We have a chat on a weekly basis. We have been since he took charge of the Italian national team. We are in touch because he appreciates my perspective and my feedback. And I am, in effect, the ambassador to the Italian national team for the Italian diaspora abroad. Not just the English-speaking world, everywhere. The entire Italian diaspora. The ones in the Netherlands who are working at the ports, aiding the Ndragheta in the smuggling of cocaine into Europe. Those guys, you're looking at their ambassador right here, this guy. The ones in Belgium who are also smuggling drugs for the Ndragheta, albeit through non-water channels, mostly roads. Planes, trains, and automobiles, also represented by this guy. The ones in Germany who are very active on social media, actually, almost weirdly so. It's kind of strange how they are. Not strange to be proudly Italian. I mean, it's a real disease that we see among many of our people. And you're looking at one of the people that suffers from that disease, for better or worse. Indeed, for better or worse. I am definitely, unfortunately, afflicted by that disease. But yeah, many of the ones in Germany, it's kind of strange. It's like they sound very German, and yet they're proud to be Italian. It's a little odd, just feels off. I'm not sure what it is. Perhaps because they're a little more recently immigrated to their host country, maybe in the last 30 years, where typically a lot of the other immigrants to the further corners of the globe might have been a little more downtrodden, where the ones in Germany went for factory jobs and are a little more well-spoken, it would seem. Because indeed, they are much less downtrodden than Italian immigrants who would have gone to other corners of the globe 50, 60, 100 years ago. But all to say, the Germans, the German Italians, also represented by this guy right here, for Gennaro Gattuso. I'm your mouthpiece. The guy you're hearing right now, speaking to you, live, by himself in this kind of makeshift slapping lipstick on a pig to not make it look like a hostage situation type of background here. I'm the guy that represents every Italian abroad to Gennaro Gattuso and your interests in the metaphorical Chamber of Deputies of the Italian national team. Every Italian, including the ones in Germany, who are too soft to get involved in the Ndragheta, and they're working in factories instead because they're good people. Fine. All right. They're honest wops. Fine. Whatever helps you sleep at night. In any event, I'm the guy that talks to Gennaro Gattuso on all your behalf. I'm here to represent your interests for the Italian national team. That is what I've been doing. I've been having regular conversations with Gennaro Gattuso over the past couple of weeks since he got appointed manager. Two very interesting conversations we've had in the last week. First of all, Mateo Retegui going to Saudi Arabia. That was discussed. This past week, he said not to worry. He is going to Saudi Arabia, indeed, a country that has a far lower level of competitiveness football-wise. But thankfully, we have Ciro Immobile coming back, along with Lorenzo Insigne and Federico Bernardeschi to Italy, the most competitive country on earth. Arguably, football-wise, because, I mean, it's about the tactics. It's about the defense. You got to think about tactics. At 16 years old, you got to be a 16-year-old child thinking about how to hold a defensive line, how to hold shape. We concede goals at every opportunity at senior international team level. But despite that, the young, athletic, flairful players we're not bringing to the forefront. Not like the English, by the way. Who fucking England? Oh, hoof it long, yeah, 4-4-2 England. Even they're putting out young, technically gifted players, but we don't do that. We say, no, children, defensive responsibility. That is what is most important. By God, that is what matters. And Retegui is out, but we do have Immobile coming back into the fray, and that is encouraging. That's what's most important, because if it doesn't work out for Retegui abroad, we will bring Chiruz back into the fray. He also said last week that he's optimistic after the passing of Diogo Jota, the tragic passing of Diogo Jota. He said, I'm very optimistic. I said, why is that? He said, well, I was hoping that might happen. I said, that's a little fucked up. And he goes, no, you don't understand. Chiesa's not fucking playing. I mean, it looks like he's not going anywhere. So what am I going to do? If he can't play for Liverpool, I can't fucking play the guy. So I had to do something. I go, what do you mean you had to do something? He says, bro, Calabria, Shamba. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? He goes, Shamba. A Calabria, siamo noi. And I said, yeah, I know. We're Calabrese. Yeah, but what are you doing? Why are you throwing up a gang sign? He goes, don't forget, the Ndragheta's everywhere. I go, you didn't. He says, oh, yes, I did. I say, you mean the tire that blew out? He says, yes, it was. It was a Pirelli. It was a Pirelli tire that blew out on the Lamborghini that Diogo Jota was driving. A Lamborghini, an Italian car manufactured in Germany by Italians abroad. I said, you dirty dog. He said, e mo ripighiamo tutto. We're taking back what's ours. That's what he said, by hook or by crook. If it is God's will or if it is my will, Federico Chiesa will play. Whether it is the will of God or indeed whether it is the will of the devil. E mo ripighiamo credo che è nostro. I'm Sam Adamo and this is the Bordello. All right, folks, it has happened. A player from the Italian national team has gone to Saudi Arabia, an important one at that. And so for the first time, we need to pretend that the Saudi League is real. We have to pretend that the Saudi League is a serious league. To an extent, it is. It's not a horrible league. It's like playing in Holland, probably. Does that make sense? It's probably akin to playing in a lower tier league in Europe. And for that reason, players playing in that league are often not seen as being part of a necessarily competitive enough infrastructure to play for a top national team. However, it's a weird precedent that we've set. Every other country still calls up their players that are playing in Saudi Arabia because we know they're good players. But we have to kind of uphold this weird faux pearl clutching approach where we say, well, shit, that's it. It's over now. They've gone to get paid a lot of money, so we can't take them seriously anymore. We're not in position to be able to pick according to the players that are playing domestically. We have to pick the best players, period. If anything, this should open up the door to Marco Verratti. Has anyone heard from Marco Verratti? Does anyone know what he's doing? Is he alive? Is he deceased? I don't know. I haven't heard that name in, I don't know, months. Since the last time I brought his name up on the pod, just for fun, let's confirm that he's still under contract in Qatar, because he's still a player who objectively, though he probably won't ever play for the Italian national team again, is probably good enough to, and is maybe, technically one of the more interesting midfielders that we have. He's playing currently 16 matches in 2024-25. That's not a lot, but 8 goal contributions in 16 appearances, 9 yellow cards. That checks out. He's still himself. That's good. He's not coasting. He's still tackling. 5 days ago, former PSG midfielder Marco Verratti joins Al Duhail from Qatari rivals Al Arabi. Okay, well, that's not ideal. So I guess he's there to stay he's staying in the Middle East. Yeah, that's not great. But anyway, look, so Mateo Retegui's gone to a club in Saudi Arabia whose name I won't even bother to try to pronounce. And that's okay, because he doesn't know the name of the club that he's gone to either. His agent called and said, Saudi club, 17 million euro. He said, okay, that's it. He doesn't know. No, none of you know the club. I don't know the club. He doesn't know the club. He can't pronounce it. He'll never learn how to pronounce it because it doesn't matter who they are. It's just, unless it's one of the big ones, there's really 3 sexy ones now that have, it's really 2. It's It's Al Hilal and it's Al Nasser, who I think are the two oldest ones. Maybe Al Ali. The fact that I even know this, by the way, is a testament to the success of the project. Because a couple years ago, I never even dignified any of these teams with learning their names. Now I know, no, Al Hilal's the good one. They're the ones that beat Man City because we actually got to see them play against proper opposition for the first time, and we realized that, when you stack a club like that with some of the best players around, they're gonna play well. So I know who they are. I know who Al Nasser is because of Al Nasser, because of Cristiano Ronaldo. And there's that other one, I think they're in Jeddah, called Al Ali. I don't actually know that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The point is, if it's not one of those three, I think the one that Benzema plays for, I think a lot of people now know. I don't know if they're funded by the crown there. The point is, it doesn't matter. As long as you're playing for a club in Saudi Arabia, just know you're going to get way above your market value wage. I don't know how much money. One thing I realized this past week is I don't know or understand the payment structure of footballers. We see they're on X £1,000 a week. That means nothing to me. I don't know if that's before tax or after tax. Sometimes we hear this player will net this much money. So that implies after taxes, which implies that the club has to fucking figure it out. I don't care how you make the math work. I just want this in my account when all's said and done every month. That's kind of the way that I think they operate in Italy. And then the clubs have to conduct some kind of financial crime to just get the money through the books, through the tax system to get it to the player. I don't know how much he was getting paid in Italy. Apparently, it was about 3 million euro a year. I don't know if that's before or after tax. I think in England, they tell you these astronomical rates that are before tax. It's their gross wage. In Spain, I don't know what they do, but in Spain, it doesn't matter because they all evade taxes anyway. And that's the beauty of playing in Spain is you ask for a certain amount net, they pay you a gross amount, and you just keep most of the gross amount because you commit tax fraud. That's actually one of the benefits of playing in Spain. And then by the time anyone catches on, you're gone. That's the thing that a lot of these players that have to do, and coaches, it happened to Ancelotti the other day as well. A lot of these people that work in football that pass through Spain get to do things this way. They stay in Spain, milk the system for as much as they can, pay as little tax money to the Spanish people as possible, and then these often foreign nationals leave after having committed a felony and nothing ever happens to them. They're handed jail sentences, as slaps on the wrist. The only time anyone's ever been reprimanded under the law after having left Spain for any crime was Dani Alves, and that was for a rape. That was a serious one. By the way, way scarier, potentially, than the Thomas Partey stuff that's been going on the last week. Like, Thomas Partey has now, I think, been named as the guy that everyone's known for a long time, was an active player on a Premier League club that had been charged with a couple of rape cases. And that's not good. But the Dani Alves one of like one single incident in a nightclub is almost way more horrifying because it's not like, oh, well, one lady accuses a guy who claims, no, it wasn't that. And then other ladies pile on because maybe it's just the way that the guy has operated over time. Maybe he's boned so many women over time, perhaps very aggressively, perhaps illegally. That's not for me to judge. It's for a court to judge or adjudicate on. But, I mean, the thing is, these guys are probably ripping through so many ladies that what winds up happening is it just takes one. It just takes one to say, coming after you. And then a couple of others of the, say, I don't know, 200. If 2 of the 200, if 1% of the ladies that you have pursued and had relations with, often in a very aggressive, potentially West African way, which is not me saying anything. I'm not saying that those guys do that. I'm just saying I don't know. He's from West Africa. I don't know how many of them are risen it up. Can I say that? I don't know how many of these guys are chatting them up and whining them and dining them and charming them. I think it might be a lot of take off clothes now. I don't know. It's just kind of the impression that I get when I hear a guy like Thomas Partey speak. The Ghanaian Footballer of the Year, by the way. That's a great look on. It's a great look on West African football as a whole. What I'm saying is, if 1% of the ladies, I don't know how many ladies this guy has been with. It could have been 1,000. It could have been 20, okay, over the past several years. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's a lot. If a small percentage of them now come out and say, yeah, I'm accusing you of something, and the later accusations happen on the back of the first one, and then it's like the first domino to fall where the others are saying, fuck it, I'll jump on the train. There's at least a case there where it's like, all right, we're going to try to beat all of these cases. The Dani Alves case was like way worse because it was like one isolated fucked up incident that was very graphic. Anyway, I'm not really expanding on that. I'm not expanding on that anymore. I will say it's a little funny. If you go to Thomas Partey's Wikipedia page and you go to personal life, it says he converted to Islam in 2022. Anyway, next subject. Yeah, so a bunch of rape allegations. So that's his life. That's how his Wikipedia page has been formatted. It's just funny that it's formatted that way. It's not pleasant to read. It's how his Wikipedia page is formatted. And when you read it that way, look it up. Unless it gets changed between now when this is getting recorded and you're reading this. Maybe I'll pull it up here. Why don't, just for fun, let's take a look at what things have looked at what things look like now. Maybe things have kind of changed in the past few days amid all the allegations he's been having to go through. Not a great look. The real bad look here is that Arsenal, who were in a tough spot in that they had this player that they knew was getting accused of stuff but hadn't been named yet, so they couldn't get rid of him. Well, Arsenal now have to kind of keep paying the guy's wage. They can't really suspend him because then it'll out him as the guy being investigated, and that's kind of like indirectly defamation on Arsenal's part. So fuck it. They just let the guy play, and now he's in the changing room giving his version of events to his teammates and his coach, who probably all believe him because they aren't hearing the other side. So they're all like, no, it's a slander job. They're probably of that mindset. So they're all kind of probably rallying around the guy. And then it just looks bad because if he gets... Because, what if he's lying? What if he's lying to his coaching teammates? I didn't do shit. But it's like, he didn't do shit, I don't know, according to certain cultures. But according to maybe, I don't know, like British culture, maybe it's like a clear crime that he'll have been found guilty of having committed. Well, that's not a great look for the team who come out and for the past couple of years have been like, hey, he's been through a lot. Then there's allegations that every time that Arsenal have been made to go travel to a country that he could get arrested in for some odd reason, he would pick up a knock. Not a great look overall. But here we go. Personal life. In May 2022, because of his Moroccan girlfriend, he converted to Islam in June of 2022. It was reported that he changed his name to Yakubu while remaining Thomas Partey both legally and professionally. He said days later that he had changed his name back to Thomas. Then there's one other note in his personal life. He was made the chief of some people in eastern Ghana by their paramount chief. On to the legal issues. In July 2025, Partey was charged with 5 counts of rape, 5, and 1 of sexual assault. That's a lot of charges. He apparently is being represented by the same person that got Benjamin Mendy off. I can't believe that Ben Mendy got off on all cases, all charges. But that's the thing, right? That's the thing, is when, I mean, we have a legal system and then, you're deemed guilty or not beyond a reasonable doubt. But then there's the other thing, which is like, being a dirtbag. It's not illegal to be a dirtbag, but he's like clearly convicted of being a dirtbag. Let's say he raped none of the women legally. If you have 5 counts of rape, you're a dirtbag. Let's just say that. Like if you have 6 counts of some kind of sexual crime, even if they're all hypothetically false allegations, you're almost 100% guilty of being a dirtbag. That's the thing. When we hear about stuff like this, we think, well, let's suspend him. And it's like, for being a dirtbag, maybe that's the line. The clubs have to decide whether or not they want to do that. It depends. I know this is going to sound horrible, but it kind of depends who the player is. Like when Ronaldo joined Juve 2 months in, got accused of something, Juve kind of had to buckle down and say, all right, well, we're going to have to stand by him. Kind of. Because it's Ronaldo and because they paid him, frankly, money that would have bankrupted him. Sorry, that would have bankrupted them if they had to cut him loose. So at that point, they had to say, no, we believe him. And I think that wound up kind of working out for them. I think the case was thrown out. But, you know, that's a gamble. That's a gamble that you kind of have to take. No one really wants to hear that. But what do you want me to say? No, you should always take the moral stance. I mean, listen, we live in a pragmatic world. It's the reality of how things work. But yeah, it's not illegal to be a dirtbag. But when you find out you're a dirtbag, when you find out that your player's a dirtbag, you got a decision to make. That's really what it comes down to. Ultimately, I don't really think anyone's going to be mad if the club suspend. How many people would have been mad if they suspended him? How many people would have been mad if they suspended him for being a dirtbag? Just take it on the chin, take it on the teeth, and say, all right, well, we got no choice. We got no choice. We'll go into a legal battle with him for breach of contract, for bringing the club into disrepute. That's kind of why a lot of the people now that are mad and saying they're embarrassed to be Arsenal fans are upset. That's kind of what they're mad about. They're mad that this guy who hadn't been convicted of anything but was clearly a dirtbag was allowed to be kept on because they don't want dirtbags at their club. Here's the thing. I got news for you. A lot of players at your club are dirtbags. A lot of players at your club behave like dirtbags. They're young, rich kids. So they're going to be dirtbags. They think, they all think they're Tony Montana, many of them. And you shouldn't care about them to really any extent. You really should you almost have to dissociate the personalities from the shirt. You have to. You have to. And when one of them gets let off, you shouldn't celebrate. Like Ben Mendy getting let off on all charges a couple years ago. That's one where like a few players came out and said, justice served. It's like, hey, shut up. Shut up. You just sit this one out. Players came out and said, yeah, good for you. On that one, I'm sorry. There's nothing that you could really, there's nothing you could pay me to. That's maybe not true. I'm sure you could pay me to post anything, but fuck, I don't know. It would be very hard for me to come out and say, this is a good move, defending the guy that just got let off on the rape charges. People did that. People, after Ben Mendy got let off on all charges, footballers came out and said justice is served. And it's all the dumbest guys. It was like Memphis Depay, Jack Grealish, best thing since sliced veg, Jack Grealish. Like, they're not the guys that have read a book, that are saying this stuff. And I understand. Here's the thing. I understand the value of the legal system. I understand that you need recourse if you get legitimately falsely accused of anything. But like, I don't think any of the players that are coming out saying, yeah, Ben Mendy, good on you for getting off. None of them are saying, yeah, long live the legal system. Long live innocence till proven guilty. None of them are making a larger argument about jurisprudence. It's really just like, I don't know. It's either a fuck these hoes kind of point that they're making, fuck these hoes because it could happen to me. Maybe because fucking some of them are worried that something might be coming down the pike. Who knows? This doesn't happen if you don't bone. It's almost not, if you're rich and famous, you can't bone. Nicholas Bentner was very smart. He only had sex with prostitutes. Nicholas Bentner was a genius because he said, I only do people. Instead of taking women out for dinner and paying for dinner, he would just pay women to fuck him. And he would say, all right, go away. I'm not raping you. I'm paying you. There's like a contractual like thing there that would almost protect him. He was very smart about it. It's like the rich man. It's like the rich man's form of masturbation. Paying a hooker. Yeah. If you're making as much money as these guys are, it's like just pay high-end hookers. If you don't actually care about establishing a relationship with them, if you feel you have to do this, you got to pay the high-end hooker. That's what they're there for. If they're gonna do it anyway. I'm not advocating for prostitution I'm not advocating for it like it's a good thing we should celebrate. But also, hey man, it's legal. You know, have a good time. You know? I don't know. He'll go to play in Saudi Arabia. He's going to be Mateo Retegui's teammate in the next 3 to 6 months. That's my thing. Unless he gets jailed, unless he legitimately gets jailed, which I don't know. He's got a really good lawyer, and he's got a really good lawyer. I don't know how we got onto the rape stuff. That's fucking crazy. It's fucking all the stuff going on in the world. I can't believe that's the direction we went in. Listen, man. I go where the wind takes us. Mateo Retegui's gone to Saudi Arabia. He doesn't know the club he's going to, and neither do you. And that's fine because it doesn't matter. The point is, he's getting paid a lot of money, 17 million euro, maybe net. Let's say net. Let's just say he's netting 17 million euro a year. Is anyone shocked that he's gone to Saudi Arabia right now? This is a man who turned his back on his own country. Right? This is a guy who turned his back on his own country. He's frankly, this is how sad the state of affairs for Italian football is right now. Is a guy who's not even Italian, we have to throw a tantrum over leaving the competitive infrastructure of European football to go play in the lucrative infrastructure of Saudi football. The guy's not even Italian, but we're like, well, we still need him. Fuck it. We'll take him. And I say he's not Italian. I mean, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Of course he is, but he's not. Like, he's not. He just arbitrarily chose, I'll play for Italy because I have a quicker opportunity right now to play for this team. It's who he is. It's who he is. Career first. He's a career first guy. That's quite all right. And by the way, you know, he's allowed to feel a little Italian. I'm sure he feels more Italian now. It's going to be kind of weird when he keeps getting called up to the Italian national team while playing in Saudi Arabia, having no connection to Italy. That was almost like the one good thing, was that he was playing in Italy, kind of living in the culture. He was kind of cosplaying as an Italian. Now, I mean, he's still going to get called up. He's still going to get called up. Gabriele Gravina came out the other day and said, this is a fun one here. Retegui warned that the competitiveness at Al-Qadsiya will damage Italy's standing. FIGC president, everyone's favorite guy. FIGC president Gabriele Gravina warns that the imminent move from Atalanta to Al-Qadsiya means Mateo Retegui will likely no longer be first choice for Italy. The competitiveness of a league makes a big difference. Multiple sources are confident the deal is effectively done, with Atalanta pocketing 67 million euro, including various bonuses, a huge profit from the 28 million euro they paid to Genoa less than a year ago. Atalanta doing what they do. Scamacca's coming back. And, you know, fuck it. It wound up being a short-term stopgap thing for them. And you know, they don't give a fuck about any of their players long-term. It's just turn them over, keep the system running. However, questions that had already been raised over how this would affect Retegui's standing for the Nazionale and Federation. Jesus. However, questions had already been raised over how this would affect Retegui's standing for the Nazionale, and Federation's president Gravina confirmed it will be taken into consideration. It's like, hey man, first of all, okay, hang on. Let's read the quote here. Quote, "It is disappointing for Retegui because it is disappointing to lose lads who at this moment had a significant impact in the Azzurri jersey," said Gravina during a press conference. Clearly, we will continue to track his progress, but you must understand that as far as we are concerned, the competitiveness of a league makes a big difference on keeping in form. He is a player who is fundamental for us, and unfortunately, like other players, he's leaving us, and we hope they will look after him in the best possible ways. These are the effects of globalization. These are the effects of globalization. One of the negative aspects of it. We cannot put limits on the free market. These are the principles of the football economy, and we have to respect them. Yeah, listen, though. Like, to say that the competitiveness of the league is going to make a big difference is, like, I mean, yeah, it's true. But he's not going to not play for it. We have no other options. I'm sorry, but at a certain point, you got to look at it and say, well, like Balotelli going to a smaller league and not getting called up, despite scoring goals in that league, probably wasn't for the best. I'm not going to be the guy to say bring up Balotelli now. He's a different guy. Okay, he has like C-section scars now, if you've seen him. He's not the guy he was years ago. But the fact is, a couple years ago when he was playing for Marseille and scoring, he should have got called up immediately. For Nice, Marseille, and the club in Istanbul, in Turkey, we should have said, fuck it, we're still playing him. Who do we think we are? I know we think we're not Bulgaria, so we don't call up guys that are playing in Turkey. But given the personnel, I mean, it made sense at the time we paid the price for it. We're not going to make that mistake with Retegui, and he's going to get called up again. It's also like, but it's like, where does Gravina get off? Because to a certain extent, you got to think about the fact that, I mean, this is a guy who's running. He was running Serie C. He was running Lega Pro. He was running the third tier of Italian football, a less competitive league, a less serious league with less money, less stakes. And he's now the head of the whole damn show. It's like, hey, man, who are you to speak? Like you've been in lower tiers of football before, and you've risen through the ranks because I don't know, you've just been able to play politics well. So you're still able to do that on the pitch. If you're playing at a lower level, if you're involved in a lower level of football, you could still compete for the top, for the top national teams. National team football is totally different. It's totally different. So it's like, you know what he can do? As long as he's able to move, he's going to be able to do the things that he's able to do. He's 26 years old. He'll continue to play. Just like N'Golo Kante was at the Euro squad last year for France. I think Benzema made the team and didn't wind up going through for some reason, but Ronaldo's still playing for Portugal. At a certain point, you have to say, okay, well, if a guy's important enough, it's a gamble that he's taking going to this other league. But at a certain point, you got to look at it and say, well, can he afford it? I think Retegui can, because he looks around and he says, who else if not me? Who else if not me? Lorenzo Luca. Like when Insigne went to Toronto, he was 31 years old, had already won the Euro, and we had a bunch of wingers. So it's a different situation. It's an entirely different situation. Like when Immobile went to, Turkey, he was already kind of out of the fray with the national team. He was 34 years old, so it didn't matter as much. Right? It's like, Immobile has come back to Italy now to play for Bologna. That's cool, but he's not going to play for the national team again. We're not going to pick Immobile over, Retegui because one is playing in Italy and one is playing in the Middle East. So it's like, where does Gravina get off? It's like the fucking boss. You're not the coach. You're not the coach. Your purview does not matter on this issue. At this point, it's qualify and that's it. It's qualify and shut up. So I think it's possible if you're away for a while that you do slow down. Like Insigne is probably done. Unless he comes back and has a monster year in Serie A. I don't see how he could ever play for the national team again. It'd be cool, like if he had that goal in mind. But it's probably never happening again. You can get deeply cooked when you leave. But it's not going to happen in a year. I think he's still going to get called up in September and October and November, and that's it. Hopefully by that point we should be, qualify for the World Cup. So it shouldn't matter to the extent that we would cut him out, But it really is fucked up. It's like you're in the third division, and now you're running the whole show. You say, we're going to listen to this guy, He's not the manager, Fucking, shut up and deal with what matters, which is, the health of the clubs, the state of the clubs, right? Like Lazio currently are in a transfer ban. I mean, Claudio Lotito's going to fucking town over this. It's crazy. He's just gaslighting everyone into saying, no, the finances are great. Going to clear this out over the next 6 months, but no, everything will be good in a few months. Everything will be good. One of the fun things about that is that Mussolini's back at Lazio now. He returned from his loan. I don't even think they could loan players out. They have a transfer ban. So they're just stuck with this kid who's going to play for Lazio now this year. Mussolini Jr. is going to play at Lazio this year. He played a full season in Serie B at Juve Stabia. He's going to get minutes in Serie A this year. It's going to happen. It's a long time coming. It's like a 5-year plan that we've been talking about on the pod for years. How at one point Mussolini's going to score for Lazio. Then everyone's going to do the salute. It'll happen at some point. Insigne might go to Lazio now. They're saying he might go to Parma, but there's a chance he goes to Lazio because all Lazio could do is sign free agents. So it's a perfect lazy move. And in many ways, it's a good club for him to go to. It's close to Naples, but also, run by, just in a poetic way. It would be nice if he went to Lazio because it's run by like this weird kind of rich senator who falls asleep in the Senate. Claudio Lotito, kind of frank, a bit crass. One of the beautiful things that kind of punctuated, Insigne's entire time in Toronto was, the term in Italian would be la cafonezza. He was a cafone the whole time, the whole way through. That's all he ever is. He's just, how would you even, what even is the translation of cafone? Let me look this up here just for fun. If you're a cafone, you're a cafone. But it's like, it's the guy who's, I guess, not really well educated. Okay, here we go. Persona zotica, grassolana, ignorante. Yeah, ignorant. Yeah, ignorant, poor taste. Sure, yeah. Everything he would do is flashy. Yeah. Not a bad guy, but he's just a fucking classic Napolitan. My wife's got surgery and don't look at her type of thing. Just, it's my kid's birthday. We're renting out a castle. Just like classic, stupid money spending that a guy like, Federico Chiesa, who's loaded, who's got more money probably than Insigne. Maybe not because Insigne is older, but Federico Chiesa's father was a rich footballer. He went to like the Sir George school. He went to like the English school, a British school in the United Kingdom, speaks well. He's a little more demure. He's not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to rent out a castle for his kid's birthday. But Napolitans love that. They'll hire the videographer for the 1-year-old birthday party, for the baptism. So, I kind of like that, Insigne kind of stayed true to his roots. He didn't try to integrate like, Bernardeschi. Bernardeschi tried to kind of become like a Toronto man's, He went to all the sports. He threw out a first pitch. He tried to learn English. Insigne speaks worse English now than he did 4 years ago. It's crazy. So it's kind of nice. He's coming back to Italy speaking, having learned nothing. He's been gone for years. He knows nothing about the world. And he's going back to fucking Lazio. He's not like ready for another experiment, in a new country. He's not going to go live in I don't know. He's not going to go live. He's not going to go live in England. He wants to go back to Italy. That's it. He wants to go back to Italy where he could speak the way he speaks and people kind of get him, even though they hear him speak and go, all right, well, this guy's probably never read a book, and that's fine. He doesn't have to. He's providing for his family another way. But yeah, Lazio will be good. Lazio will be good. Him and Zaccagni would be nice. It'd be nice. They just talk about Louis Vuitton shoes. Talk about restaurants that their wives had caviar. And that's it. Cars. That's it. That's all there is. That's all there is to it. When you're as loaded as these guys are, it's kind of fun because really you could see what like a child. It's what's fun about some of these guys that have had money since they were like 20 is that you get to see what a 15-year-old would do if they got money. Most footballers spend their money like a 15-year-old would because you almost don't even have a chance to savor it. When it comes at you that quickly, when it comes at you when you're that young, you're going to be in a spot where you just say, well, I have all this fucking money and I have nothing. What am I going to do? Just save it for the future? It's very hard to say it's all going to be put into long-term holdings. And frankly, they don't have time. They make so much money guaranteed sitting on their ass. I mean, they're not sitting on their ass. They're playing football, but that's a thing that they would be doing anyway, right? It's a thing that they could be doing anyway. Like if they were all, many of them, if they were like regular workers, would still play football as often as they could, right? If they all work construction, they would all still play lower tier football and play as many times a week as they'd be able to play. So basically, they just get money for doing, nothing except play football, which, by the way, I'm not mad at. It's just the reality of what it is. They get paid to play a sport. And so they don't really think, well, let's diversify. Most of them don't think, let's diversify a portfolio here. Let's invest. Let's go after tenants. Most of them ain't investing in real estate. Most of them are not investing in real estate. They're just buying stuff. They're buying stuff because they can. And the money keeps fucking rolling in. So you buy a Lamborghini. You buy a Lamborghini car. Like, you buy a Lamborghini SUV and then the fucking tire explodes and you burn in a fire. That happens sometimes. That's I now drive a Toyota Matrix. You know what car's never had a tire blow out of it and explode on the side of the road? Toyota Matrix. So there are benefits to both lifestyle. And I know, listen, it's sad that Diogo Jota died when his Lamborghini went off the road and exploded in a fire with his brother. Some people die in a Nissan Sentra. It's sad. What are you gonna do about it? We all got to be sad because we empathize. He has a family. We see the pictures of them there. All right, cool. That's sad. I almost feel like if he was a plumber, that would almost be more sad because the wife and kids he would have left behind would have nothing to, very little to show for it, right? Like a 28-year-old plumber has not got the legacy, the financial legacy, the trust fund that his kids, are going to have. So at least there's that. That's the only silver lining. It's not fun. They're not having a good time right now. But, listen, I see things through an Italian football worldview. For better or worse, it's a curse. I wish it weren't the case. But unfortunately, stuff like that happens, and I don't think, oh no, I think Chiesa. It's how I am. And by the way, I'm just reporting the news here. I tweeted out the other day. I said, I'm going to hell for this. But I'll be the first to say it. It's a little fucked up that it took a guy going off the road and exploding in a tragic car fire for Federico Chiesa to come off the bench for Liverpool. I tweeted that out. And I also said, I amended at the bottom of the tweet, I said a true fact, which is, I'm not saying this. I'm paraphrasing what Gennaro Gattuso just told me on the phone. That was his thought. That was CT Gennaro Gattuso, Italian national team manager's statement to me. We're boys. We're both from Godsend. I fucking called him and said, come si va? And he goes, hai visto quella cosa come un idiota? E mica deve giocare Chiesa. Something like that. I mean, those weren't really words I said. That was more cadence. He kind of said it a little sheepishly like that under his breath. E meno male che mo gioca Federico. He kind of said, well, that's unfortunate, but, hopefully I would love to be able to call up Federico. Listen, by the way, you know what hurts you more than going to Saudi Arabia is going to the best club in the world. It's Liverpool. I mean, look at that. A year at Liverpool. 5 matches in the Premier League for Chiesa. I mean, hey. Look, on the bright side for Chiesa, we're now a Luis Diaz getting kidnapped and held for ransom in Colombia by the cartels away from him getting 10 minutes a game over 10 matches. The best Italian winger we have. If Luis Diaz gets captured by the cartels and held for ransom in Colombia now, maybe now Chiesa will play 9-10 games. He'll double his rate from last year. Last year he played 5. Maybe this year now that one of the guys is no longer in the picture and now a second one in this hypothetical, I won't say dream scenario, in this hypothetical, won't happen, theoretical, rhetorical situation that I'm conjuring up here with a half chub, he'll play 9-10 games instead of 4-5. I actually put that tweet out on my Instagram. Because what am I going to do? Listen, I'm sorry. And it is in poor taste, but he's not coming back. So we might as well have, do I want to say have a laugh about it? I mean, maybe, yeah. What do you want to do? Be sad about a guy you never met? Instead, you can be sad about the fact that people in general die and leave family behind. It's not happy. I had a friend of a friend who's a Liverpool fan respond to the story that I posted and said, "This is fucked up. Take this down now." And he unfollowed me. And I said, "This is good. I've been trying to shed relationships that are surplus to requirement for a long time, actually. It's working beautifully." I was like, fuck it. This guy is now no longer following me, so I could unfollow him now. I don't have to keep the whole, it's his fault now. He unfollowed me first. It was great. I was like, all right, fucking terrific. Done. One less wedding to get invited to, maybe. I hope I wasn't getting invited to that wedding anyway, if I'm being honest. But you can never be sure. Sometimes people surprise you. I got one wedding coming up where I'm going to be a groomsman. I was asked to be a groomsman. So, you can't say no to that. You got to be the groomsman. You got to go along with it. I'm in a position now where I got to kind of say to the guy, whatever you want to do, we're doing. Bachelor party, wherever, any part of the world, let's do it. So, if I could avoid going to other weddings and focus on this one, that'd be great. The fewer people that I know, that I don't speak to, that are not following me anymore, the lower odds that I get asked to go to somebody's wedding that I don't even know the wife of, Anyway, so, and I'm sorry he died. I'm sorry that you're sad about it. Nothing's going to bring him back. I will say I would love if I could just know, maybe what kind of tire brand he had. Just so I don't want to put those same tires on my Lamborghini. Right? I didn't say something like that. That wasn't what I said. I said tragic. I said it was a tragic loss of life. I said he tragically burned alive in a car explosion. I said tragic before burned alive in the car explosion because it is tragic. You know what's even more tragic, by the way, is brother. Not his brother, just is the fact brother. I don't even know his name. I don't know the brother's name. It's just Diogo Jota and brother. There was a hockey player last year in the NHL who died, Johnny Gaudreau and brother. Really, that's a sign. You say what you want about the Tate brothers, but at least they've kind of become the Tate brothers. You know what I'm saying? If they both died in a Bugatti explosion, it would be Andrew and brother Tristan Tate. Brothers Andrew and Tristan Tate die in explosion. It's a weird spot to be in. Some guys are the brother of a famous person, and if they die together, it's famous person and some brother. That's tragic. That's sad as well. Existentially, that's a sad fact of life that if you have a family member that succeeds, if you die at the same time as him, it's this person and whoever. Like Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant and another father of children died in that hot air balloon, whatever it was, helicopter crash. It's sad that they all died, but it's Kobe Bryant died in the helicopter crash. It's not Kobe Bryant and several other people, fathers of children, heads of families died. It's Kobe Bryant and unknowns. Kobe Bryant and unknown souls. It's almost like if you're notorious, your soul has more value. It would seem, right? That's what the outpouring of emotion is for. And then if you don't know the guy, right? You don't know Jota's brother, you kind of say, all right, well, I intellectualize with the fact that is sad. I don't personally feel any sense of loss because I don't know the man. Well, that's how I feel about Jota. He was a guy who played for a club. I barely recognize him. If he walked into this room right now and the ghost of Jota started strangling me and putting a curse on me, I wouldn't be I would have a hard time recognizing him and say, oh, that's the ghost of Jota. I barely know what his face looks like. So it doesn't affect me that personally. I just go, all right. If it was Ronaldo, maybe I wouldn't feel as compelled to, make jokes about it, which I'm not doing. I'm reporting the news that Gattuso told me. This is very interesting. I will be monitoring what happens with Federico Chiesa now going forward. And that's what I answered the friend of my friend when he said, take this down. This is fucked up. I said, I'm just reporting what Gattuso said. I didn't say it. That was his report. By the way, I had the wherewithal. He left me on scene. I actually thought he didn't answer. Let me see if this motherfucker unfollowed me. And I saw he unfollowed me, so then I unfollowed him, thankfully. But I really wish, I don't have this, but I wish I had like a system where anyone that I follow that unfollows me unfollows back automatically. I really should. I should develop that maybe. Is that possible? Has that ever been made before? That should exist. If someone unfollows you who you follow, you should have a system where automatically, bang, you unfollow them back. And it's their fault because they initiated it. That's the thing. If I unfollow someone, I'm like comfortable with them unfollowing me back. It's not like I want you to keep following me. I'm unfollowing you because you're dead to me. You're dead to me. You mean nothing to me for the rest of the time. I don't need you to follow me. If you do, great. Enjoy the show. I don't want to follow you anymore. I'm initiating the severance of ties here. That's kind of my thinking. So by the same token, if someone's unfollowing me, I should be able to automatically unfollow them because it shouldn't matter whether I follow them if the relationship's done. Listen, I just reported the news. If I really wanted to be distasteful, I could have said, "You'll never walk again." But I didn't say that because that would have been too much. That would have been distasteful. I didn't say that. I just said, this is what Gattuso said to me on the phone. I'm his confidant. We spoke on the phone, and I just put it out to the humble few people that see my stuff. Just more like, hey, you follow me? You want to see what I have to say? Well, this is a little cool thing that I did that happened that I thought would be worth sharing. That's all. If I wanted to be distasteful, I could have said something like, I know it's fucked up to talk about this before the body is cold, but he burned in a fire, so the body never got cold and yada, yada, yada. I didn't say that. That would be distasteful. It would be disgusting. And all of this is distasteful and disgusting, but I don't know the guy, and he ain't coming back. So what do you want me to do? Not accept the thoughts that come into my head? I see that happen. I go, Chiesa, what's happening now? Will they be replacing this guy, or is Chiesa the man? That's the first place my head goes because I'm cursed with a brain that thinks about the world through the lens of Italian football first. That's my reality. That is the world that I operate in. That's the world that I'm living in, folks. I don't know what more to say. I can be nothing but honest. I can only be honest with you. That is how I look at things. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. I can't help it. I'm sorry. I'm not the first guy to think this, okay? But, I see Thomas Partey converted to Islam. A couple years later, he's accused of 5 rape counts. I go, well, that's unfortunate. I say that's unfortunate because I know other people, not me, are going to see it and go, oh. By the way, people in Africa, people in West Africa, in Ghana, a predominantly Christian nation, are going to look at that and say, you see this? Because the West African Christians, probably, I would assume, in their minds, think that the West African Muslims are a little less than. That's a thing I've observed, is they tend to not like each other that much along religious lines in, the developing world. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I think it'd be fun, though, it'd be fun. This wedding party that I'm going to be a part of now. A week ago, I was asked to be the groomsman at a barbecue, and we were like 12 wops in Laval, Quebec, Montreal's northern suburb. Just a bunch of wops pounding limoncello after learning who was going to be part of the groomsmen contingent. And there were a couple guys who, just as soon as it was announced, started talking, bro, bachelor party. Where are we going? Where are we going, bro? They would pound limoncello shots and say, bro, Portugal. One guy kept pounding limoncello shots going, Portugal. So we might be going to Portugal. I said, listen, if we're going to go anywhere in Europe for cheap, we should explore. We should maybe look at Poland, Romania, Hungary, the Czech Republic, Albania. And I suggested all these things, and the guys all said, bro, rich, that'd be crazy. But these are WAPs, so in their brain, it's Mediterranean first. It's Southern Europe. It's Portugal. How, how funny would it be if we all just went? How funny would it be if we went to Portugal for my buddy's bachelor party? Just like 15 Italians from Montreal, 15 dumb fucking Laval wops going into the town that Jota's from for a bachelor party. And then, and then his family and the whole town that are just devastated about the loss of these two prominent local figures in this tragic accident a year prior are just like subjected to the 15 of us coming through the town going, bro, Portugal. And they're like, when does it end? They're just like, when is God going to stop playing tricks on us, man? They're like, listen, I know that was terrible when those two guys exploded in that car fire, but my God, this is too far. He's fucking, please, put me out of my misery. Make it end. I thought it was bad when those two guys who we all loved from this town, who got baptized at that church right there, who everybody knows and loves, sons of this town, when they died in that accident. I thought that was the worst thing that we would ever experience as a town. But I mean, this is a level too far. This is a level of suffering that I didn't know was possible. 12 wops from Montreal, from Laval, coming in and saying, Portugal. Oh, I make myself laugh, man. If nothing else. Fuck that. Oh man. Look, if you're sad that Jota died, you're a good person. If you're sad that he died, you're a good person. I don't know what to tell you. All of you, you're all good people. This guy that you never met, his death is affecting you because you're a good person. What do you want me to tell you? I mean, it's just don't think about it. Just dissociate. You don't know the guy. You forgot. It happened a week ago. You forgot about it already. You forgot it happened until I brought it up. Because people have no perspective. Donnarumma challenged for a ball in the Club World Cup and snapped Musiala's ankle. Then people under tweets and posts about the news that he fucking fractured his tibia, would be out for like a year. Like 2 days after Jota died, said, man, what's going on in world football? What a horrible week for world football. It's like, hey, man. Musiala didn't burn alive. He's good. He'll be fine. He's a millionaire. It's fine. Perspective is everything. None of the suffering these guys are experiencing is real. It's all perspective. And it has to be that way, by the way. They have to think they're in hell. Because if they just said, motherfucker, whatever, it is what it is. It's not a good thing. You want a psycho whose only purpose is football, right? That's why Ronaldo's the man. Ronaldo's whole life is football. It's the only thing that's mattered to him is football. You ask him, what are you thinking about? He goes, I'm only thinking about football. Great. Terrific. He has no issues. The rest of his life, he could live happily and say, yeah, I mean, perspective is everything. I'm the man. I was the most famous man in the world. I still am. Great. But if his leg snapped, and his career ended tomorrow, that'll be it. He'd be in a really dark place for the rest of his life, probably, because he's a psycho. That's what it is. That's what it's about, man. It's about being nuts. That's how you perform at a high level. But it's important to kind of take stock and say, look, it's an occupational hazard, right? It's an occupational hazard. Sometimes you get your fucking, you get your leg snapped. Manuel Neuer's coming out saying, oh, Donnarumma shouldn't have gone for that ball. It's like, okay, old Nazi, fucking shut up. What are you doing? Who are you? No, you shouldn't have. You don't do this. Fucking bro, relax. And I'm sorry for calling him an old Nazi, okay? But it's like this weird headmaster energy. It's like old German. Oh, well, willy-nilly. Oh, no, willy-nilly. You can't do that. Oh, you shouldn't have gone for the challenge. Shut up, fuck. He's doing his job. Like, it doesn't matter. I know you like the kid. I know you like Musiala. I know he's your countryman. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't. If Messi snapped his ankle like that, that would be devastating. Because Messi's different. He's not just a really good footballer. Messi's a guy who's had a whole career basically unaffected by serious injury because he's been touched by God. He's been divinely inspired. He's been divinely touched to just provide, art through football. I watched him play a week ago live in Montreal. He scored a stupid goal. We're feet from him. We were in the front row, right in front of where they were warming up. And it's one of those weird times when he turns and looks at you, looks at the people behind you, and you say, wow, I could tell. I'm looking at his eyes. I know that's a mortal man. I know that's just a guy, but there's something weird that happens when he turns around and you just feel energy. Like people get excited. To have that much power. To paraphrase Kanye West, no one man. It's crazy to have that much power. It feels spooky. It almost feels divine. You understand why Maradona is now revered as a god, because he had a similar effect on people, and he's dead. So there's only a handful of people that can command that. If Musiala died tomorrow, it'd be sad. But Maradona dying was different because he represented he represented a beautiful thing. He represented a beautiful thing, which is that humans are flawed, and Messi represents kind of a beautiful thing as well, but it's more that, humans are capable of extraordinary things and of purity. Messi is kind of, people think he's so pure and so obsessed with football that he's autistic. He has no other interests, seemingly. It's a conspiracy theory, right? The Messi's autistic. It's because he only is normal when he's only smiling when he's playing football. It's the only time he's kind of regular. It's like his entire system only operates in a way where it works when he's playing football. So, that's kind of what he represents. And so if he died, it would be tragic because he means something to the world over. Because if you believe in a God, he was kind of almost put on this earth to make people happy, feel a thing. And the thing that you should feel is, wow, that's spectacular. And it maybe, just maybe, inspires you to think, well, fuck, maybe I could do something special also. And you probably can't, but maybe you can. Because Messi turns and looks at you and say, wow, this is unbelievable. I mean, that energy is astounding. But he's just a mortal man. He's just a mortal man. And there's only a handful of people in sport, really, that, can achieve that have achieved that. By the way, it's probably good that Maradona died for that reason. If he had been around a while, we would remember, oh, yeah, this is just an old junkie. But he died at the perfect time because that was the plan. He had to. The universe had to take him away at 60 because it was the perfect time. He achieved a little bit after football, not much, but he was at least around for a good 20 years in coaching. And he was a figure who kind of would show up and give us an interesting moment. And then he died before he was incapable of juggling a ball. So, yeah, right. Be sad. You could be sad that this guy died. It sucks. It's the worst thing in the world for his wife and kids. I know that. Ugh. Okay, I know. But, I'm never going to have to deal with that. I'm never going to have to deal with that reality because I'm not his wife and kids. And the universe gives people challenges. And it's sad and unfortunate, and it doesn't make sense. A lot of the time, it doesn't make sense. But what are you going to do? Shut your brain off and say, no, I can't think other things about this? No, you see it and you say, well, Chiesa time. Lord knows, Mateo Retegui might be out of the fray now, if you're to believe the president of the Italian Football Federation. Who do you bring in? A guy playing in a very competitive infrastructure. Sure, Chiesa's infrastructure is so competitive, he can't even get into it. That's a competitive infrastructure. Call him up. We're going to just talk about the World Cup stuff in some capacity, probably every pod going forward now until this is all done, until the whole qualification campaign is said and done. It's just so... That's what this is. This pod is literally just an outlet to kind of talk about the existential crisis that'll happen in a few months if we don't qualify for the World Cup and the things that need to happen for that to happen and the speculation about, involved in following the news, right? Who gets in now? Who doesn't get in now? Federico Bernardeschi back at Bologna. Does he get in now? Does he get in because he's back in Italy? I don't know. Oh, well, he's back in a competitive infrastructure. Bologna Calcio, who, by the way, would get their back broken by the better teams in Saudi Arabia right now. I'm sorry. But do you think that Bologna could do better against Man City and Real Madrid than win and draw? Do you think that? Do you believe that? Do you believe that Bologna Calcio with Federico Bernardeschi and Ciro Immobile is a more competitive team then some of the best teams in Saudi Arabia that Mateo Retegui will be having to play against right now. Like, we're in a position right now where it's like you just call them up and we'll deal with the issues later. Once we qualify, it'll be like, all right, now we'll deal with who deserves to go to a World Cup. But it's like, break up the task. Qualify, then we worry about what comes next. There's no guarantee we're in a spot where we have to worry about what comes next. So right now it's short term. Short term, salam alaikum, welcome back. You know? It's kind of crazy that, like, Retegui went to Saudi Arabia. Now, like, Dusan Vlahovic apparently refused Al Hilal. Juve is desperately trying to get rid of him because they picked up Jonathan David. Jonathan David to Italy is a fun one. Jonathan David's a fun one because it'll be fun to see if he can learn Italian. Let's see. It'll be fun to see if Jonathan David, now that he's playing in Italy, will learn the Italian alphabet before he learns the English alphabet. That'll be a fun story to follow. Because he, if you ever heard him speak, he has a very hard time in the English language. But you know, that's it. That's the custodian of the Canadian men's national team. A guy who, if you're in Saskatchewan, that's who you got to pull for. Is a guy who could barely speak English. Because, that's why it must kind of suck to just be Canadian and to be, like, so disconnected from another culture that, because, again, everyone kind of came to Canada from somewhere. But if you're in, like, Saskatchewan and your, like, great-great-grandparents came from the Ukraine in the 1800s, you got, like, no connection to them, so you're just Canadian. You just have to pull for Canada in the World Cup. Like, coming up in a year, you just got to pull for Canada. And it's, like, guys that mean nothing to you. Like, these people have nothing to do with the province of Saskatchewan. Nothing. Fucking Ugats. It's like how are they part of the same country? That's what's fun about pulling for your country of origin. You feel a stronger sense of identity, doing that. That's why if you look at the Guatemalan national team, which Canada lost to in the Gold Cup, it's like a bunch of people from other parts of the world representing Canada as Canadians, then a bunch of Guatemalans who grew up in the United States representing Guatemala because they feel more Guatemalan than they feel American, more proud to be Guatemalan, right? That's their identity. It's an interesting phenomenon. That's why we do this. That's why we talk about the Italian football team so much. Because, it makes you wops feel alive. It makes you feel like you are what you feel you are. Chiesa time. Lorenzo Insigne might get into the Italian national team before Chiesa gets into the Italian national team. That's the sad thing. Chiesa's still not going to fucking play, despite everything. Insigne is going to come back to fucking play for Parma, and it's going to be like, whoa, shit. This motherfucker. He's turning the clock back. That's how we're going to split open the fastest fullbacks on earth. That's how we're going to split open Brazil's fullbacks is Lorenzo Insigne. Oh, skip. Little touch, qualidad. It's like we're so fucking cooked, man. We're so fucking cooked. If you look at who won the U21 Euro a couple weeks ago, if you look at the England team, it's just they're so much more, and they'll never win anything. They'll never win anything at senior level, but they're just so much better equipped to participate in modern football. And you just got Chiesa, the best fucking most dynamic modern winger we got, just held hostage, waiting for Mo Salah's private jet to crash coming back from Egypt. What a fucking state of affairs. Listeners, what a journey this pod was. Death, rape, and the prophecy of Lionel Messi. I mean, where else can you get something like this? Where, besides in any fucking cafe on the East Coast, bro. Not for nothing. What the fuck? What's gonna happen with Chiesa now, bro? This guy went full truck. Some guy in Woodbridge, Ontario, Toronto goes, bro, you see this guy win 4 rotisserie chicken, now bro, fucking Chiesa's gonna blank. All right. There's nothing funny about it. Some people die in a Nissan Sentra, folks. Some people die in a Nissan Sentra. Like the video if you're still here. I'm Sam Adamo, if you're so inclined. I am Sam Adamo. Thank you. God bless you. Goodbye.